Have you ever found yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., lying in the stillness of the night, wondering why your body stirred you from sleep? Maybe you stare at the ceiling. Listen to the quiet and ask yourself, why now? What's going on inside me? If so, you're not alone. In fact, many older adults experience this very thing, waking up around the same early hour, night after night. And the surprising part, it's not just a quirk of aging or a random sleep disturbance. It's your body's way of sending you a message. In this video, we're going to explore 5 meaningful reasons why so many seniors wake up at 3 a.m. and what these innate early awakenings might be trying to tell you, from changes in your hormones and sleep cycle to subtle health cues and emotional reflections. We'll take a closer look at the ways your body and your heart may be reaching out in the quiet hours. And don't worry, we're not here to overwhelm you with science or make you feel like something's wrong. Quite the opposite. We want to offer comfort, understanding, and a gentle shift in perspective. Because sometimes, when we finally understand what's happening inside us, those restless wake-ups can begin to feel less like a problem and more like a quiet invitation to listen to ourselves more deeply. So if you've ever wondered why your eyes open before the sun comes up, stay with us. You just might discover something beautiful about your body, your journey, and the deep wisdom that lives inside you, even at 3 a.m. Part 1. A gentle decline in melatonin. Why your body might be waking you up. One of the most common and natural reasons seniors find themselves waking up around 3 a.m. is something many people don't even realize is happening. A gentle age-related decrease in melatonin. Melatonin is often called the sleep hormone. It's what helps guide your body into rest at night and keeps you there through the dark hours. When we're younger, our bodies produce a healthy, steady flow of melatonin in the evening. That's why falling asleep and staying asleep might have felt easier in your 30s or 40s. But as we grow older, that natural supply gradually begins to decline. You might still fall asleep without much trouble, especially after a long day, a warm meal, or a relaxing evening. But somewhere around 2 or 3 a.m., your body's melatonin levels may dip too low to keep you fully asleep. That's when you find yourself suddenly awake, not because of a loud sound, a nightmare, or any real disturbance, but simply because your brain is shifting back toward alertness without enough of that soothing hormone to hold you in sleep. And here's the important thing. This isn't your fault. It's not a sign of poor health or broken sleep. It's a natural part of aging. A quiet shift in your body's inner rhythm. In fact, your environment can play a bigger role than you think. A small light from a hallway, the glow of a digital clock, or even light peeking through the curtains from a street lamp outside can further suppress melatonin. As we get older, our bodies become more sensitive to even these subtle cues. Take Harold, for example. He's 72 now, and he always prided himself on being a sound sleeper. But lately, like clockwork, he finds himself wide awake at 3:15 in the morning. He's not worried, not upset, just fully awake, as if it's already time to start the day. Once Harold learned that this wasn't a sign of anything wrong, but rather a simple shift in melatonin. Due to aging, he stopped blaming himself. Instead, he made small changes to work with his body. He started dimming the lights an hour before bed, stopped using screens in the evening, and took a short, peaceful walk after dinner to help regulate his internal clock. These small habits reminded his body that it was still nighttime, and while he still sometimes wakes up early, he now does so with more peace and sometimes even falls back asleep. This is the beauty of awareness. When we understand what's happening inside us, we stop feeling frustrated, and instead we begin to care for ourselves with more compassion. Your body isn't broken. It's just adapting, evolving, and quietly asking for your help in creating a more restful rhythm. Part 2. When your sleep clock shifts. Understanding the early wake-up call. Another gentle reason so many older adults find themselves waking up around 3 a.m. has to do with something called a shifted sleep cycle. You may have heard of the term advanced sleep phase. It sounds technical, but the meaning is simple, and it's something that happens naturally as we age. As the years pass, your body's internal clock, the one that tells you when to feel sleepy and when to wake up begins to shift forward. That means you might start getting tired earlier in the evening, even if you didn't plan on going to bed yet. Maybe you've caught yourself nodding off in the middle of a movie or waking up just before the sun rises, even without setting an alarm. This isn't just a matter of routine or habit. It's actually a change deep within your biology. When you were younger, your body may have preferred a later bedtime and a morning wake-up that felt more in sync with the rising sun. But now your sleep window may begin much earlier in the evening. And naturally, that also means waking up much earlier, sometimes even at 3 a.m. You might fall asleep by 9 p.m. without even realizing it. And by the time 3 a.m. rolls around, your body may feel like it's already gotten a full night's rest, even though the world outside is still dark and quiet. But here's the good news. This isn't something wrong with you. It doesn't mean your sleep is broken or that you have insomnia. It just means your body is on a different schedule now, a new rhythm that's evolving with you. Imagine a clock that gently resets itself over the years, ticking ahead, just a little bit more each season. While that might feel frustrating, especially if your family or social life doesn't match this new rhythm, it's a completely natural part of aging. There's also a quiet emotional layer to this change. As we grow older, our homes often become quieter, especially if we've retired, or our children have grown and moved away, without the constant activity and noise of a busy day, work errands, social gatherings. Your body starts winding down earlier. There are fewer cues telling your brain it's still time to be awake. Take Charles, for instance. He's 68, recently retired, and enjoys peaceful evenings at home. Dinner is usually around 5:30 p.m., followed by an hour or so of television. By 9 he's sound asleep. Then at 3 a.m., like clockwork, he finds himself wide awake. At first he thought something was wrong, but once he learned about this natural sleep phase shift, everything started to make sense. Instead of fighting against his body's rhythm, Charles made a few simple changes. He began reading under a warm light before bed, took a short walk after dinner, and even made a habit of calling his daughter in the evening, just to stay mentally engaged a bit longer. These small acts helped him stretch his bedtime a little, which in turn pushed his wake-up time closer to morning. It's amazing what a few mindful changes can do. So if you're waking up around 3 a.m. and wondering why it might not be a problem to solve, it might just be your body gently inviting you to tune into its new rhythm. And once you understand that, you can begin shaping your evening in ways that better support the rest your body truly needs. Part 3. When the body speaks physical discomfort and quiet health signals at 3 a.m. Sometimes the reason you wake up at 3 a.m. isn't about your sleep hormones or internal clock at all. Instead, it might be your body trying to tell you something through small physical sensations, like a whisper, more than a shout. As we grow older, it's normal to deal with little aches, discomforts, or health issues. They may not seem bothersome during the day, but they feel more noticeable when everything is quiet and still. These nighttime interruptions don't always come with pain or urgency. In fact, they're often subtle. A stiff joint, a full bladder, a slight cramp, or the gentle sting of acid reflux. Yet they're enough to wake us, just as the rest of the world remains asleep. Take arthritis, for example. It may not trouble you much when you're moving around during the day, but after lying in one position for hours, your joints might start to protest. Or maybe you ate a little later than usual and didn't realize your stomach wasn't quite done digesting when you went to bed, leading to a bit of acid rising up just before dawn. Even small changes in room temperature, dry mouth, or an uncomfortable pillow can become more noticeable as we age, simply because our bodies grow more sensitive with time. These things wouldn't have bothered you decades ago, but now in the quiet hours of the early morning, they can be just enough to gently wake you. One of the most common reasons older men wake up around 3 a.m. is the need to use the bathroom. This isn't unusual or something to be embarrassed about. It's a part of the natural aging process. As the bladder becomes less elastic, it holds less liquid and signals the need to empty more often. And while you might not notice the urge during the day at night, with no distractions, that feeling becomes much harder to ignore. And here's another piece to consider. Many medications that older adults take for blood pressure, heart health, or pain can also influence sleep. Some increase the need to urinate. Others affect temperature regulation, or even make you more alert at the wrong times. Often we don't immediately connect our medications to our sleep patterns, but those little side effects can add up over time. Let's look at Eleanor's story. She's 76 and has always been a light sleeper. Over the past year, she noticed she was waking up consistently at 3:30 a.m., unable to fall back asleep. She assumed it was just getting older, until a visit to her doctor revealed something surprising. One of her medications was affecting her hydration levels and increasing nighttime bathroom trips. With her doctor's help, she adjusted the timing of her medication, made some simple lifestyle tweaks, and now sleeps more peacefully. And even when she does wake up, it's easier to drift back to rest. The important message here is that your body is not failing you. In fact, it's doing exactly what it's meant to do, responding, adapting, and letting you know when something needs attention. These 3 a.m. wake-ups might feel frustrating, but they can also be gentle nudges, signs that your body is still deeply connected to its own needs. Instead of seeing them as interruptions, we can begin to see them as information, tiny signals that help guide us to better self-care, to more awareness, and to kinder routines that support healing and rest. Part 4. The quiet power of routine. How daily habits can shift your sleep rhythm. Sometimes waking up at 3 a.m. has less to do with biology and more to do with something surprisingly simple. Your daily habits, the little choices you make throughout the day, often without thinking, can quietly shape the way your body prepares for rest at night. And over time, these patterns can shift your internal clock in ways that nudge you into waking earlier than you'd like. For many older adults, life begins to slow down after retirement. The days become more peaceful, more predictable. Meals are often eaten earlier. Physical activity may decrease. Evenings may become quieter and less stimulating. All of these changes are natural and even comforting, but they also signal to your body that the night is starting earlier. And when your body believes it's bedtime earlier, it also decides to finish its rest earlier. That's why you might find yourself wide awake before the sun has even come up. Let's take Walter, for example. He's 74 and enjoying his retirement, but without realizing it, his entire routine shifted over the years. He started eating supper at 5 p.m., dozing off during the evening news, heading to bed by 8:30 or 9 p.m. most nights. Slowly but surely, his body adjusted, and not long after, he found himself waking at 3 a.m. alert, puzzled and unsure of why he was up so early. But once Walter took a step back and looked at his routine, everything made sense. He wasn't broken. His body was just following the rhythm he had unknowingly set. So he made a few gentle adjustments. He began taking a short walk in the afternoon to boost his energy, started reading in a brighter lit room during the evening, made a point to avoid dozing off right after dinner. These small changes helped delay his body's sleep signals, just enough to push his bedtime later. And as a result, he started waking up closer to the morning. There's also something important to understand about food and sleep. Eating dinner too early can sometimes lead to a drop in blood sugar levels during the night. That drop might not feel like hunger, but it can still be enough to wake your body. A small light snack before bed, like a banana or a few crackers, can often help stabilize your system through the night. And don't forget about caffeine. Even if you only drink coffee or tea in the early afternoon, your body may metabolize it more slowly than it used to. That leftover stimulation can linger into the night, subtly affecting your sleep and making you more sensitive to minor disruptions. The truth is, your body loves rhythm. It craves patterns. Those daily cues that say, now it's time to be awake, or now it's time to rest. When those cues begin to blur or shift, your sleep rhythm follows suit. But the good news is this: you have more influence than you think. With a few thoughtful tweaks, adding movement, creating evening rituals, adjusting your meal and nap times, you can gently guide your body back to a rhythm that feels more natural and restorative. Waking up at 3 a.m. doesn't always mean something is wrong. Sometimes it's simply your body following the habits you've set. And once you see the connection, you can begin shaping your days in ways that invite better rest and a more peaceful night's sleep. Part 5: When the mind stirs in the silence, emotional and psychological restlessness at 3 a.m. Sometimes when you wake up in the middle of the night, there's no pain, no noise, no physical discomfort at all. Your room is calm, your body feels fine, but your mind is wide awake. Thoughts begin to stir in the quiet darkness. Memories float up. Unspoken worries find their way to the surface, and questions that seemed silent during the day begin to whisper in the early morning stillness. This is something many older adults experience, though it's rarely talked about. As we grow older and life becomes quieter, the noise and busyness that once filled our days begin to fade. And in that stillness, especially in the quiet hours of 3 a.m., our hearts and minds find space to speak. You might find yourself thinking about a conversation you never finished, a loved one you missed, or a decision you made years ago. These are not signs of anxiety in the way younger people might feel it. Racing thoughts or panic. No, this is different. It's softer, quieter, more reflective. A kind of emotional stirring that comes from a deep well of life lived, of experiences carried and wisdom earned. The mind, when no longer constantly occupied, begins to wander through the past, revisiting people we've loved, moments that shaped us, regrets we tucked away, or even small longings we didn't know were still there. And because your body isn't rushing from task to task anymore, these reflections have room to grow. Loneliness can also play a part. Even if you're not alone during the day, the night has a way of magnifying the quiet. Children grow up and move away. Friends become busy. Routines shift. The house once filled with noise now settles into stillness. And in that silence, the heart often reaches out, not in desperation, but in a gentle ache for connection, for presence, for someone to talk to in the dark. Take Gloria, for example. She's 80 years old and widowed. Her days are filled with warmth. She tends her garden, chats with her grandchildren, watches her favorite shows. But at 3 a.m. she often finds herself awake, not because she's anxious, but because her thoughts quietly return to her late husband, to their life together, to the tender weight of memories she carries in her heart. At first, Gloria thought something was wrong with her sleep, but then she realized it wasn't her sleep that was calling. It was her soul asking to be heard. To help herself, she placed a small journal by her bedside, and on nights when she wakes, she writes just a few lines, a thought, a memory, a feeling. Sometimes she listens to soft music or lights a candle and sits quietly. These simple rituals give her mind a gentle outlet. They help her heart feel seen, and more often than not, once her emotions have been acknowledged, she's able to return to sleep with a little more peace. The truth is, the human heart doesn't follow a strict schedule. It doesn't care what time it is. It remembers when it wants to remember. It asks questions when it's ready to ask. And sometimes that happens at 3 a.m., when the world is quiet enough to finally listen. But that's not something to be fixed. That's something to be honored. If you find yourself awake at that hour, try asking yourself, what is my mind trying to tell me? What's sitting quietly in my heart that wants to be heard? These moments are not just disruptions. They are invitations to reflect, to feel, to remember that you're still and still growing in wisdom, even as the years go by. So rather than fighting those wake-ups, you might try greeting them with a little grace, because sometimes the most meaningful kind of rest comes not from sleep alone, but from listening gently to what stirs within us. As we come to the end of this video, take a quiet moment to breathe and reflect on what you've just heard. If you've ever woken up at 3 a.m. wondering, why is this happening to me? We hope this has brought you comfort, clarity, and a new perspective. Maybe you connected with the way your body's natural rhythms are shifting, or perhaps you recognize the subtle health signals, the emotional echoes, or the gentle power of routine in your own life. Whatever reason speaks to you. Most know this: waking up at 3 a.m. does not mean something is wrong. In many ways, it means your body and mind are still deeply engaged, still paying attention, still adapting as you move through this chapter of life. There is quiet wisdom in these early hours. They are not just interruptions. They are messages. They remind us to listen more closely to our bodies, our habits, and our hearts. And when we respond with curiosity instead of frustration, with compassion instead of blame, we open the door to deeper rest, greater self-understanding, and a more peaceful relationship with the natural changes that come with age. So the next time you find yourself awake in the stillness of 3 a.m., try not to see it as a problem. Instead, see it as a gentle invitation from your body, from your heart, from life itself, to pause, to breathe, and to listen. Thank you for spending this time with us. If something in this video resonated with you, we'd love to hear about it. Share a thought in the comments. Maybe a memory, a moment, or a habit you'd like to change. And if you found this helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with someone you care about. Your support helps us continue creating thoughtful content for people like you, people who are still growing, still learning, and still full of life, even at 3 a.m. Until next time, take good care of yourself and rest gently.